goal. Have I set an intention for my riding, a long-term goal that I dream about that helps me show up every day, and then also short-term goals that keep things present and real. So if we don't know those smaller steps that are going to take us to that big place, it might be easy for us to get distracted and off course. So we want to be having two sets of goals. And for that big long-term goal, there is nothing at all that is too big to dream about. So it's actually good if it's a little bit scary, because then that brings blood to the whole thing. And you don't want it to be something that's ho-hum, and you don't have to work a little bit to become that person that can achieve that goal. So we want to have a big long-term goal, and it wants to be a little bit of a stretch. And then we want to have smaller short-term goals that are making us feel less overwhelmed. And like with each time you make one of those small steps, those shorter term goals, you achieve that builds confidence, that gets the ball rolling. And then from that new place, you'll be able to make another short-term goal that looks achievable. I talk to people, coaching clients and things like that about, okay, well, my long-term goal is to go to the regional finals, and I have never gone before. But then they start thinking about, riding at the regional finals and the atmosphere and the competition and these bigger judges and so on, and they get overwhelmed. But I say, well, you're going to go through a process to get to that regional finals. You're going to do some things that you haven't done before, but they are going to prepare you for that experience. So if you only think from jumping from where you are to that big goal, it's going to feel absolutely unattainable. But when you say, okay, my ultimate goal is to go to the regional finals, and then my monthly goal is to do a schooling show so that I take my horse off the property and I learn how to ride the test without a lot of stress, that is achievable. And then when that has been achieved and it felt good and it went well, then the next thing will be to do the recognized show and to do those qualifying tests. And maybe the qualifying tests that we do are at a venue that is still smaller and easier and doesn't have a lot of atmosphere. But we're also going to look, after we've accomplished that, for a venue that's a little bit bigger, a little bit closer to what would be at a regional finals, so that we feel prepared when we get to the regional finals. So we're going to have these long-term goals and then shorter-term goals that keep us present and confident and moving along our path. So the next one is the knowledge of how the horse moves naturally. And this is something that's going to continue to grow as you improve your experience, your feeling, and you develop your eye. And one thing that I find is that if you have a setback, you may want to revisit this. Is my horse balanced? Is my horse moving naturally without leaning on with me, without being manipulated, without some kind of pain or stuckness in the body? So oftentimes, if we feel like something is not right, or we start to get stressed and our rides just don't go the way we want them to go, we need to revisit that knowledge of how the horse moves naturally. Maybe I watch my horse lunge without tack, or I ask somebody to trot it, or I watch some videos and I remind myself about how stuff is supposed to look and what does it look like the rider is doing in order to move with that horse. And so if we get stuck, we need to revisit how the horse moves naturally. And that I feel that the perception might be off. And by revisiting that, then you're going to bring yourself right back on track, because you're just going to have that new picture in your mind's eye. You're going to have the opportunity to notice if your horse is a little bit sore or a little bit stiff somewhere. Then you're going to work on that and you're going to fix that up. You're not just going to keep fighting with it. So the knowledge of how the horse moves naturally is going to be something that we're always improving, always working on. But if I really get stuck, that's something that I need to put at the top of the list, and I need to really hone back in on that and then move forward again with some of these others. Hi, Yvonne.